It's your local meteorologist, Zuli Rain. This evening, I'm anticipating Zuli rainstorms coming in from the east, Zuli rainstorms coming in from the west, so don't forget to bring your umbrella. 2 years on Medium. 2 years, about a week ago on Medium. 2 whole years, writing something practically every month, going through all the weather shifts that happen on the platform. Like 2 years ago, curation didn't exist, if you can believe it. 2 years ago, it didn't. Most of the publications I publish in now didn't exist. Medium was a totally different platform back then. I've stuck it out through the changes and I've earned $30,000. I've published 507 stories. I've made friends, genuinely real friends that I talk to every week just to catch up about their lives, not even about Medium or writing. I have got so much from this platform and I've given so much of myself to it. And I want to talk about what I've learned because there aren't that many writers on Medium who have been around this long. And part of the reason is what I'll get into. Medium changes a lot, and a lot of people don't like that. They want a stable, steady platform that won't change out from under their feet. Those aren't the rules Medium plays by. What this video is going to be about is talking about the highlights, the lowlights, the medium lights. That was an unintentional pun. I didn't even mean to do the medium thing. My lessons that I've learned and what I would recommend to myself starting out 2 years ago if I knew everything I know today. So first, let's break down some stats. First of all, 507 stories. The first year I was on Medium, I wrote 383 of those. So I was publishing more than once per day on average. This took a toll on me. I was writing every spare second of every spare day that I had. I wrote while I was on holiday. I wrote when I was sick. I wrote when I was hungover. I just churned out content. So I can't even talk so much. I published so much back then and I was getting like $1,000, $1,200 a month. And that first year I earned $13,000. So an average above just over $1,000 a month, publishing well over 30 articles a month, again, on average. The second year I was on Medium, I wrote less. I wrote 118 stories. So that's less than a third. That's only publishing about once every 3 days. What happened? I burned out. There was a pandemic. Let's not discount that. I got a new job, so I just didn't have time. And I was tired, honestly. I couldn't do the same thing anymore. So I pared it way back and I only wrote when I had something to say. The second year I was on Medium, I made $17,000. The stories I was making were worth so much more money because they were more important to me. I wish I could say that I would be able to start from the $17,000 level if I were to start again from today. But the truth is that for me, I needed those reps. I was not that good a writer when I started. It was only after publishing literally hundreds of stories that I got to learn my audience. I learned which publications have specific audience preferences. I learned the best way for me to write. I needed those reps. I couldn't have had my second year if I didn't have my first year. I became friends with publication owners just through the sheer volume of stories I was pushing through their pubs every day. Those kinds of relationships they're organic. There's no replacement for that. I honestly believe that my third year is going to be the best one. I hope to write less, earn more, and say more with the words that I am choosing to write. I mean, just in this past 4 months, my 4 most viral stories have come out of me these past 4 months, and I think it's not a coincidence that as I learn to write better, as I learn to write headlines better, as my audience steadily grows, there's a correlation there. Here are the 13 lessons I've learned from being on Medium for the past 2 years. Number 1, your audience matters. Not in the way that you think, though. On Medium, for those of you who don't know, the way that you get views comes through a couple of different methods. First of all, when you publish something, some of your followers will see it, not all. We'll get into this a little later. Secondly, publications. You can choose to publish on your own profile, or you can choose to also add it to somebody's publication, owned by you, owned by someone else, it doesn't matter. The benefit is that even if people don't follow you, but they follow the publication, they might still see your story. Third, curation, and this is kind of the most fiddly one. Every time something gets published on Medium, Medium's curators, real human people, look at it and they're like, yeah, you know what, this is good. This is so good that even though they don't follow this author, people who like this particular topic will probably be interested in this story. Let's show it to some of them. It's not a direct line. If I publish something, no publication, no curation, back when I had like 500 followers, I could get maybe 50 views and that was it. So with 0 promotion, 0 distribution, about 50 views. Now I can hope for around, 100 or 200, even though I've got nearly 14,000 followers. It's not a linear relationship. But with every story I publish, there is the chance that it gets a much wider audience. I published something that if I'd written it a year ago, it's possible that it wouldn't have gone viral because it didn't have that critical mass. I started noticing this around 10,000 followers was when I started getting pieces going viral. Stories would occasionally get like 2, 3, 5, 10,000 views. That was when that started happening. Number 2, your newsletter matters. Get followers off Medium. Okay, remember how I was just saying followers don't matter? They do, but you want to get them off Medium. Create a newsletter and put that link everywhere. Put it in your bio, put it at the end of every story, every publication that'll let you keep it at the bottom of your story. Publish in your own publication and put your newsletter link there. Why? Because this is going to drive traffic back to your stories. So it's a form of distribution that you control. When you can't rely on Medium to show people your stories, you want to have something that you can rely on. That thing is your newsletter list. Plus, it is going to open doors for you later that you might not know about today. So for instance, I don't sell anything today other than my time, but in the future, should I create a ebook course, fiction book, I'd love that, that my newsletter list will be the first place that I sell it. Third, publications matter. When I was talking earlier about how to put stuff in publications, the audiences differ. So my most recent viral story was one that was about the 5 different streams of income I have that have doubled my overall monthly income. I've put a story similar to that in a publication called Entrepreneur's Handbook because I was like, entrepreneurship, it'll be a good audience. But the fact is that nobody there cares about my scrappy little monthly income. They're looking for sort of big story. How does Bill Gates do this? How does Elon Musk do this? They don't care about my tiddly little income streams. This story I put into the post-grad survival guide, which is full of people like me trying to do what I do, for whom those tips and that insight was actually valuable. And people started clicking on the story, and it is, as I record this, it's getting, thousands of views a day, which is pretty good for me. The size of the publication does not matter. The audience interests do. You will do some research, you will have to do some experimentation, but once you figure that out, that is going to be the most crucial thing for helping your stories go viral. It's getting them into the right publication with a really engaged readership. Number 4, connections. I wish we lived in a nepotism-free world. I wish we lived in a world where who you know has no bearing on how well you do what you do. It's not true. We do, and Medium is no exception. Who you know does make a difference. As an example, I recently published a story with a publication that doesn't typically allow calls to action. However, I know the editor. I messaged them and I was like, hey, do you mind if I put my call to action here? And they're like, typically no, but all right, for you. I actually ended up getting like 200 email signups to my mailing list, simply because of the exception that I had because I know this person. That's something you have to cultivate over the long term. That's not something I could have done a year ago. It's not something I could have done 18 months ago. It's something I could only do today because I've developed this relationship. The best way to do this is focus on who you want to cultivate the relationships with. Is it a certain publication editor? Put as many stories as you can through their publication. If it's a writer, comment on their stories. Try to get their attention. Be honest. Don't be deceitful. Don't try to make a relationship just for the sake of what you're going to get out of it. Develop a relationship for the sake of the relationship and then see what benefits come with that. Number 5, titles matter. All right, this one was a bit of an ego blow. I used to think that, all right, once I get to 5,000 followers, I'll be like, I don't know, Michelle Obama. I can just write like, On Creativity by Zulie Rain, and people will click on it. Nobody clicked on those kinds of titles. Nobody cares about On Creativity by Zulie Rain. Nobody cares. I had to actually prove up front that I was going to give value to my readers by coming up with an interesting, engaging, relevant title that was not clickbait. That is an art. You can't really learn it other than through studying what's successful, trying out different things for your own stories. It's hard. It takes time to learn. It took me 2 years. Now I spend 10 to 15 minutes on every single story, brainstorming topic ideas until I find one that feels right. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong, but it's a really, really important part of the story writing process is the title. Don't overlook it. You're not Michelle Obama. You have to try to engage your readers up front, prove that you're going to be able to give something to them with your title. Number 6, curation matters. When I was on the platform 2 years ago, curation didn't exist. Then it popped into appearance and it was like rocket fuel. One curation tag and you were guaranteed thousands of views. We don't live in that utopia anymore. Curation is not a guarantee, it's a stepping stone. What that means is that If you publish something today and it doesn't get curated, there are certain factors. You could get external traffic, you could get publication follower traffic, but Medium is not going to recommend it to anyone. So if you go to any story and scroll down, the stories that you see recommended at the bottom, those have all been curated by Medium staff. That's how you get the longevity. That's how you keep getting money, keep getting views for your stories months, or in my case, years after you've written them. Curation, like I said, is not a guarantee, but it is the first step nowadays to actually helping your stories not just go viral, but stay viral and continue earning money, whether it's cents, dollars, or tens or hundreds of dollars a month. Number 7, the number of curation tags does not matter. A couple of theories around this. Some people think it's if you get something that's curated in 10 different topics, it's probably not going to be super appealing to any one in particular. Whereas if you get something curated in one topic, it's much likely to be much more driven and much more tailored to that audience. I don't know. Most of my viral stories were curated in 1 or 2 topics. My one exception was curated in 6 and it went viral as well. But for the most part, the number of tags of curation doesn't make any impact on how many views I get. It's a nice little vanity tag, sure. It's nice to know that curators read it and they're like, we love this, let's put it in everything. But it doesn't give me success on my stories predominantly. Number 8. Commenting. I reply to every single one of my comments on YouTube. I love doing that. It's my favorite way to build my community. I love giving back. I don't do this on Medium for a couple of different reasons. First of all, people on Medium can be kind of mean sometimes. I'm very thin-skinned. I don't want to deal with that. So I ignore it. I don't look at those. But secondly, I don't need to, and you don't either. You don't have to reply to comments in order to build a community. Read them, reply if you want, but don't feel like you have to. I'm, making 4 figures on Medium pretty much every month, and I don't reply to any comments. If you do, I have heard that many people enjoy this. It's a great way for them to build communities, but it's not like mandatory if you're thin-skinned like me and also don't like looking at people rightly criticizing your work, which unfortunately I am part of. All right, number 9, volume doesn't matter. Okay, this is yes and a no. Volume does matter because that's how I learned to write well. That's how I learned what my audience wants. That's how I learned what Medium wants me to do for writing. I had to push through so many stories to learn those lessons. But if you are not like me and you already know those things, you don't have to write that much. You can just write very little and get away with doing that. I needed to write a lot so that I wouldn't need to write a lot in the future. Those were the lessons I had to learn, was just the volume. Now I write a lot less. I aim for 10 to 12 a month myself, but the volume of your publishing is not directly correlated to your success. It's a tool, not a guarantee. Number 10, burnout is going to happen, and when it does, it's going to tell you something. I burned out a couple of times on my journey at Medium. I'll show you a graph. It happened a couple of times this past year. I felt like I had no words. I felt like I had nothing to write, nothing to say, and I did not want to try to force content out. In the past when that's happened, I've still tried, I've recycled, I've been less creative, and that stuff never does well. I should have listened to my inner feelings at the time and just taken a break and stepped off. It feels like if you miss a week on Medium, you miss your whole big chance. It's not true. Medium was here 2 years ago. It's hopefully going to be here 2 years in the future. 1 week, even though it feels critical, 2 weeks, a month, it's not going to change that much in the grand scheme of things. Your journey is your journey, and there's no one critical point that there's not like you're going to miss your exit and then that's it, you're done forever. Your journey is going to be ongoing. Listen to burnout when it happens. Reflect on whether you're creating too much, whether you're not interested in what you're creating. Figure out why you're burning out and how you can stop it rather than trying to force your way through it. Lesson number 11. I've already kind of alluded to this. It takes talent or repetition to be successful on Medium. Some people stumble onto the platform and they write a viral hit their very first month and away they go. Thousands of dollars every month. I mean, what a lifestyle. Wouldn't you love that? That didn't happen for me. I mean, I was very successful, but I really had to grind, right? I was writing hours an hour. It was like a second job to make a fraction of what I was making at my day job. That was what it took for me to have my success. But you don't need to be like me. If you are more deliberate, if you already have that innate writing talent, if you're more open to learning the lessons through intelligent learning rather than brute force learning, which is what I did, you don't need to take a year of writing a story a day. You can skip that if you have talent or insight. Or You can do the reps like I did and get the same results in just more longer and more effort. Number 12. You have to be able to shift. So a couple of changes I've talked about on Medium. When I first started writing, curation didn't exist. Then curation existed and people were kind of crabby about it. It felt like a judgment. It felt like a bit of a crapshoot. It felt unfair to a lot of people who suddenly had to write for curators instead of for themselves. They're used to getting viral hits on shoddy content, frankly, and all of a sudden they were like, wait, what happened to my followers? Your followers are still there. Medium just started promoting work that they considered to be better. Take it or leave it, but Medium is paying you to write, and to me, that's amazing. That's a gift. It makes sense to try to play by their rules instead of complaining that they're not playing by yours. 6 months after that, publications took a big change. It used to be that the bigger a publication, the more views you would get, more or less, on a story. But in May of 2019, Medium created these publications: Forge, 10, Elemental. You're probably familiar with them, but you probably also didn't know that they only came into existence about 1.5 years ago. All of a sudden, everyone's homepage was full of these random publications that Medium was promoting so heavily, and the homepage wasn't personalized anymore. It was only these Medium-owned publications. Again, a lot of complaints. A lot of people were like, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this. Best of luck to them. I learned how to pitch for them. I learned how to get into them. I've been published in Forge, 10, Human Parts. It was hard, but it was worth the effort. I got my name on the homepage of Medium, and that was an incredible feeling back, especially when they were only pushing those publications. 6 months after that, they changed the payment method. Again, people were very angry about this. It used to be that payment was based on claps. The more claps you had, the more people clapped for your stories, the more money you earned. This prompted the existence of a lot of clap threads on Facebook groups. So you would post something, you would clap for everyone who posted above you, and people who posted below you would clap for your story along with everybody else's. I played the game. I didn't love it though, because I felt like it was just a function of who got to the comment the fastest, right? Because they would get the most claps and hence the most money, or who remembered to post their stories in more places, and it had very little to do with the quality of the work that you were putting out. And also, if you have a reader who doesn't know how to clap on Medium, like, it didn't make a lot of sense. Like, unless you know what it's there for, it's hard to figure out. And readers might not have known that that was the best way to reward their authors. Medium did away with that. You can still clap, but it's unrelated to how much you earn. I think it can help with distribution, so kind of tangentially it does help, but reads are now the metric. And to me, this makes much more sense, because you read something, you engage with it. Good writing engages you more. Bad writing, you bounce after spending just 30 seconds on a page, and that's a much more honest indication of the quality of writing, more than claps, to my opinion. But like I said, people were mad. People were like, oh my god, Medium's taken it too far this time. They left, and I learned that I had to make my writing more engaging. If I wanted to keep people around, I learned that I had to be better about getting people to click on my story in the first place. It was a learning curve, but I did it, and I'm still here, whereas all those other faces for all those changes I just mentioned, they left, and some of them didn't come back. Many of them didn't. What I'm getting to, especially in light of Medium's most recent change, that is pivoting to more of a follower-based recommendation engine rather than publication or curation or anything else, is that Medium's going to change. Medium's going to change in ways that you don't like. They're going to have to force you to change the way you think, the way you write, the way you're doing things. The people who are most successful on the platform are the ones who roll with the punches. Medium's on a journey too. They're trying to figure out how they can show the right content to the right reader who's going to enjoy it the most. And you can either be with them on that journey and just accept that there are going to be hiccups and backslides, as well as successes and upslides, or you can complain and you can quit. The choice is up to you, but to be successful in Medium, you have to weather those changes. And finally, my very last lesson: anyone, and I mean anyone, can do what I've done. If you enjoy writing, if you can type a story, if you have a sense of providing value to the people who are reading your stories, you can do this. There's no magic. I see people starting, a month, 2 months, 3 months ago, and they managed to get up to hundreds or thousands of dollars a month very quickly. There are people who started a year ago. They're just hitting their stride now. Medium is only growing in popularity. Medium only has more money to give to writers. And you don't have to have started 10 years ago to be successful. You can start today, you can start now, and you will still have a chance. You don't need a professional writing degree, you don't need a website, you don't need to know how to code, you just have to have something to say. That's my main takeaway. That's what I've learned from 2 years, is that success can reach anyone here on the platform. It is really a fantastic time to be alive, and it's amazing to make money for writing about what you love on Medium. So that's my crucial lesson. And if you take away just one thing, I want you to take that away from my 2 years on Medium. All right, this was a bit of a marathon. That's my review of 2 years on Medium. I've learned a lot. I've gained a lot. I've lost not that much. If anything, I've gained finger strength from all the typing I've been doing. But as always, if you have any questions about this, Medium, anything else, let me know. I love helping out. And if you want to find out more, want to get more tips, subscribe to my newsletter or subscribe to my YouTube channel. And have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.